for me, he hasn't looked good since he got knocked out against Canelo. And that says a lot. That the last time he looked good was when he got knocked the fuck clean out. You know what I'm saying?
Yo guys, it's your boy The Purist. This is the Purist Boxing Podcast. I'm with Mickey Amir and I'm with Jordan Dujon. This episode is brought to you by The Purist Apparel, coming very soon. Make sure hit the link in the description. It's going to be right there for you. I'll take this off. Free plug done. Card versus Brook. Huh?
You saying you want to show the waves now? Yeah.
Yeah, you got to bring them out. You got to bring them out still. But Khan, Brook. Kell Brook stopped Amir Khan in the 6th round of their grudge match. Had a lot of hype before it. Amir Khan was doing a lot of talking. Kell Brook was doing a lot of talking, but only one man really showed up. Very early on, Khan was wobbled, but I think it was by a jab, or you can call it like a two-shot, but it was like a jab, maybe come left hook, and he was hurt. And it felt like every time Brook hit him, he was hurt. Now Khan, we all know Khan, fast hands, comes in flashes, and he tries to get to his man and then move off. But Brook was either blocking or slipping a lot of the punches, or Khan was falling short. There were times where Khan was actually getting to him, but like the last 30 seconds of the round, Brook would land that one shot, and then his legs just go all over the place. Yeah, just shaking everywhere, flapping. And then, I think if you watch the last round, I think like 30, 40 seconds where Brook was unloading and Khan did not reply once with a single punch. Then the referee stopped it. It's pretty much a one-sided.
It looked like a man versus a boy when it comes to exchanging, isn't it? Really?
Yeah.
But you can see that's going to be in the weight difference, though, isn't it? Because obviously Kell's going to be a naturally bigger man anyway.
I don't think it was just not just the weight. I think I've been saying it for a while. Like Khan's style, the things that he got him through to where he is in now in his career, then was his speed and his reflex and his timing. And for me, they looked off for the longest time. I've been saying going into this fight, I didn't really give Amir Khan a chance. A lot of people started talking about points, this and that. The old Amir Khan is a completely different person. But I think the difference between the obviously good fighters and the very great fighters are the ones that can adapt throughout their career. Since Khan has lost that kind of that skill set that got him to where he is, he's never had a plan B in fights. He's never had to been able to change things and look different. And I think that was, from my point of view, that was expected, that outcome.
I think just watching the fight back, obviously his speed and everything and his agility and reaction times all gone downhill. But I think it just goes to show that his fundamentals wasn't good. Because if you see the way he was throwing flurries, he's falling in. Every time he was falling in. And literally, I mean, Kell Brook didn't really count him too much, to be honest with you. What will happen is when Khan was there in front of him, he wasn't moving his head off the line and he'll just get caught with a 1-2. The same shot he got caught in the first round was the exact same shot that stopped Kell Brook against Terence Crawford. Like that jab hook styled thing, and he didn't recover from that.
I think what Mick was saying about in his younger days what he used to do, but even in his youngest game, he had that plan A, and there was no plan B, there was no plan C. You knew exactly what he was going to get every time. Don't get me wrong, it was effective and it would work. Like he made like someone who's as fast as Zab Judah just look lost in the ring, innit? His hand speed was phenomenal, innit? But he also had the footwork to go with it. Obviously, his footwork wasn't great, but at least he had the speed of foot to actually make a contest. But he just looked slow.
And the timing with that, like the speed of feet and the speed of hands was so perfectly well together that he'll be in with his feet, let off 4 shots and get out of range. Like there was pure God-given talents that he had. Not to say that he didn't work on a lot of stuff himself, but like you said, a lot of the stuff he does is unorthodox. And he got away with it when he had that speed of feet and speed of hands. And since they've gone away from him, which they will do as time goes by, like there's nothing else really been there for him. And for me, he hasn't looked good since he got knocked out against Canelo. And that says a lot. That the last time he looked good was when he got knocked the fuck clean out. You know what I'm saying? We're talking 4
But even that, if you look back at the fight, like there was times that Canelo was timing that punch a good 3-4 rounds beforehand. And he kept falling short of it. But again, it's them fundamentals. Bring your hands back. He actually does what a lot of them... no, I'm not going to say amateurs, but like if you look at like Katie Taylor, what she does when she's rushing in, throwing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 punches, like you can't get away being in an elite weight class, throwing more punches, not being defensively responsible in it. That first punch that he got caught with, he never recovered from that. So all his legs, everything went out the window. And it was literally the only thing he got better at is learning how to survive. Literally, that's what he looked at to me.
See me, that style that we're talking about as well, that's just sums up like from when I was doing amateur boxing, which obviously from 10 years ago now, up to a lot like very recently, like the GB style of boxing in the amateurs have been a set way, and that's kind of fast feet, fast hands, in and out, do your work, keep it long and keep it missing, innit? Keep it moving. Over 3 rounds, 4 rounds, 3 threes, 4 twos, and things like that. Obviously, that's a perfect style. That's an effective style. But then to come into the pro game, obviously, you need to make them adaptations. And obviously, Brook has always been a lot more suited to this pro game in terms of like now, the way they're looking now, and the way they box now. Brook's style was always he can last longer in the game. Once you give him natural attributes, Brook can still be in there. He's a big, strong man. He don't mind getting hit. He can throw with people. He's got a lot more style to him to adapt to this pro game to see this fight out. Obviously, this fight 10 years ago, 5 years ago, was a different ball game, innit? Different story.
That's what I wanted to ask you guys, yeah? So a big talking about point of this fight is it's 10 years too late, yeah? But I said after my post, yeah, timing beats speed, especially when the speed isn't as electric as it used to be. Yeah, that's a purist quote. I'll let you man take that £5 each. But the point is, yeah, it's like even let's say 5-10 years ago, yeah, timing is still better than speed. Of course, when you got speed like Khan, it's a whole different ball game. But do you really think, let's say 5 years ago, Khan's chin would have held up when he did get caught? Because Khan always got caught. Against Maidana, I think it was like 4 rounds at the end where he was just surviving, holding on, getting battered around the ring. Danny Garcia, we saw it. He was schooling him for 5 rounds, literally.
When he boxed Marcus Maidana, that was light water, innit? That wasn't water.
Yeah, light water.
Brook, I don't think Brook. So what are you saying? Like, what would have been the outcome 5-10 years ago? Would Khan's still natural ability been able to?
I reckon the Brook that beat Porter, that one there. I reckon the difference would have been Khan would have been outboxing him. Like I said, them chocolate brownies are raining in all day. It just takes one.
Nah, me, I disagree, man. I don't think Brook is a concussive puncher like that. I think he just obviously he's unorthodox. He's heavy-handed. You can see that because when he hits people, they go back or they feel it. You get a reaction. He's heavy-handed, but I think more he's unorthodox. The way he switches, the way he throws shots off off of different angles, and that is what causes the main problem. I don't think he's that much of a one-punch, like concussive puncher to have landed that one on Khan to change the fight. Because that Maidana, when Maidana dropped, wobbled him in the 10th or the 11th. I can't remember if he dropped him or wobbled.
Hold on. Everyone, go on YouTube and watch the clips of Amir Khan getting clipped and dropped by absolute nobodies, yeah? I can't remember one guy's name, something Fagan. It's like an Irish brother, yeah? Yeah.
These are... He
has no chin, it just takes one.
But you see at the fight, he had no chin in this, and I've always said this, I bang on this about fighters' postures and fighters' stances makes a big difference. Khan was always upright, relying on his speed. Obviously, but young Khan was always his own problem because if he was what made him exciting because he loved being in a scrap. That's what made it exciting. He was always in fights that basically most of his fights ended by stoppage, didn't it? Because he'll be going in for the kill or get killed. And I think obviously if he had that bit more discipline, which he did do when he got to the top of his career, because some of the likes of the people he beat up and he beat them up bad, the Zab Judas, the Devin Alexander, if you remember that one. You know what I mean? The guys that when he got any rhythm and he stuck to his boxing and didn't get carried away, I think would have been under early Freddie Roach days. He was problems, bro. He weren't staying in there long enough to get caught, and he stuck to the game plan.
I hear what you're saying. I think if we roll back the clock, though, if we roll back the clock 5 years ago, maybe to even 10 years ago, I personally don't think it changes anything. I think Kell Brook does land. Kell Brook's also lost speed as well. His timing. I think that engine's not the same as what it would have been. I think just Amir Khan's style of boxing, there's some people he can get away with just completely outclassing, popping their head off, moving them for 12 rounds. But when someone is just actively walking you down, and it's always going to be a grudge match, so he's not going to be as switched on and as focused as he would have been.
I hear that.
He's going to get caught. He's going to get caught. He's going to get drawn out into a fight, and then that's where his downfall is going to be.
So what? Both of you man saying peak v peak, Brook beats Khan.
I say it, yeah.
I'd say Khan would be outboxing him until he gets caught, and then when he gets caught, we'll see we would have seen what happened. And that's what I reckon.
I think he would have been outboxing him. He would have built up a good 6-7 round lead. He would have got caught, but not enough to see out the job. I think he would have got caught, give him a little scare, he would have recovered, come back and just see out the fight.
But even then, I think I don't think you're appreciating Brook's timing, because Brook's got good timing. He'll catch you coming in, And if your corners are coming in 7 times around, Brook's gonna pick up on that and get you.
I hear that. But Khan in his peak, he weren't there to be countered, man. He was in and out like a motherfucker. It was like the other people, his opponents had a disadvantage, man. It was like, you know, when you watch boxing and it just seems fake, how quick he would get in and out and hit man with 4 shots, bro, at the same time.
How do you think in peak Khan would have done against Sean Porter?
Yeah, he would have got hurt bad. He would have got hurt bad because Sean Porter don't play with all that in and out shit. He'll just keep coming in. These other fighters, like the boxers, obviously, Kell Brook is like a boxer puncher. And then when them boxers get into the ring with Khan, it's like they get so disheartened from trying to get their shots off. Obviously, Maidana, I thought done well, even though he's a brawler, because he's just gonna come in. And Garcia, that was one of the most devastating knockouts Khan suffered. Obviously, that's just a brother. He's still a bit of a boxer puncher, but a lot more on the puncher side, isn't it? Just don't give man no respect for his boxing. He's just gonna go in there to land the bang, innit?
Right. If we take a step back and look at it, yeah, we've been saying this fight is 10 years in the making, yeah. And one of the biggest talking points of the fight is, what would have happened 10 years ago? So 10 years ago, Amir Khan was chasing Floyd Mayweather, stalling his career, taking not tune-up fights, but he's fighting the guys like Luis Collazo and those kind of guys there, just keeping himself busy. Kell Brook, he done his thing, but then he spent a portion of his career chasing Khan, chasing Furman, chasing these bigger fights. How in boxing are we going to get to a point where we don't have to wait 10 years for the biggest fight in the country?
You know what? With that particular fight, I think the only reason it was stalled was just down to it was down to the fighters. Personally, I think the rivalry was so much. Khan got the massive push from the promoters being Olympian. He didn't want to give Kell Brook that platform, and they've obviously sparred each other for years. They know what each other is capable of. He knows the threat that Brook can cause him. So why take that risky fight and bring up this guy that you actually hate when you actually don't need him? He needs you more than you need him. So I think that was purely down to the fighters. I'm not even going to blame promoters or this, that, and the other, because that fight could have been made. It was just egos involved. And it's just, we only got the fight now because realistically, there's no one else for them to fight. It's the biggest payday that they're going to get. And it's a chance to resolve a long-going debate.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there, man. I think personally, obviously, I was a big Khan fan back in the day. And when you said 2012 was when Khan was chasing Mayweather, that shows how long Khan's been going. Because for me, at that point in Khan's career, he had already hit the heights of his career. And that's still 10 years ago, we're talking about the peak Amir Khan did. But yeah, I feel like there was that bitterness in the sense of why give a man an opportunity. Like, you've done it your way, you feel, and I do feel that Khan done it in a harder way. He come up a harder route, box a lot higher level, a lot more consistency.
Away from home as well.
Yeah, and obviously his thing is, why am I giving this man the opportunity? And another thing, even though obviously you're saying the fighters, there was a part with the promoters, because obviously Kell Brook was always with Hearn, innit? Hearn has this way of I don't know, a lot of people seem to not want to work with Hearn if they don't have to, innit? So that might have been a contributing factor. But yeah, I definitely think, like Jordan said, it was down to the fighters, it was down to timing. And at this point now, neither of them had nowhere else to go. And personally, I don't think neither of them can't definitely, Brook, I don't think even he needs to do anything from this point onwards either, man.
Yeah, Brook should retire off the back of this.
Yeah, you think so? Both of them just hang it up?
Yeah.
If this is where it's like a fighter's mentality, you get the smart fighters that walk away from the business at the right time, and they get their foot in the door of the like analysis and all that stuff, which is nice to see. But obviously, fight fans still like to see their favorite fighters in there scrapping to the end, innit? But I think from a personal point of view, if it was you and you think to yourself, you're not going to hit them heights that you've hit before, are you going to be happy with boxing underneath that level for then seeing out your career like that? Do you know what I mean? And I think obviously it's obvious for me, bro. It's hard to gauge what he's got left on that performance because that was a grudge match. He went in there with one intention, innit? So even though his boxing might not have been as neat as it has been, the jab one as consistent as it has been, obviously we'll give him the benefit of the doubt that he just wanted to take man's head off. So you can't expect him to stick to that game plan, and he didn't even need to. But yeah.
Yeah, sorry, bro. Just with that, I think if you just look at the last two injuries that Brook sustained, obviously both eye sockets now. Off at the back of that, that's argument for retirement just there. Now they're talking about him possibly facing Chris Eubank or going and fighting Conor Benn. Realistically, he doesn't need to be taking these fights. Like, what else is there to prove into boxing other than paydays? Like, you can go get a big payday with Chris Eubank, get a big payday with Ben. There is nothing left. What is he fighting for?
Everyone likes money, though, innit? I think fighting for the money, it makes sense for him. And I know he's got like a party boy lifestyle when he's not got fights lined up in it. So maybe, but we don't know what kind of financial situation he's in. Amir Khan, I know he likes to spend his money. His wife loves to spend his money.
Yeah.
So that was a big factor into why he took the fight in the first place. But I say with Brook, to see what he's got left, just have to look at the Crawford fight. Like, he'll be dangerous for a while, but if you catch him clean, I don't know if his body will hold up the way he used to.
Yeah. Who's this Brook you're talking about?
Yeah, Brook against Crawford. He looked way better than anyone thought he would look, but then just took one punch and then it was all over with.
Obviously, the name.
I think Brook is a first half fighter as well. I think the later parts of them rounds, after 6 rounds, you would have been able to see what he's got left in the tank, innit? And he's a big guy to be making 158, 159, or sorry, 147, anywhere near that weight. Like, it's draining for him.
Obviously the only names that's being put out there for Brook right now are Eubank and Ben, innit?
Yeah.
So how would you see him doing against them? Would it be worthwhile? Like,
Eubank's too big and too active. I reckon like Jordan said, Brook's a front runner. If Eubank sticks it on him with an engine, and I don't know, Brook's punch resistance, I don't think it's anywhere near where it used to be. 2 broken eye sockets will do that to you, and his face ain't the same.
Yeah.
Ain't got a good structure. I reckon he'll get taken out.
And that size is a massive.
Don't get me wrong. I think he'll look decent against Eubank for the first couple rounds.
Yeah.
But then it's when Eubank goes back to the old Eubank of just going after you, work rate, relentless punching. Like, right now he's trying to adopt that Roy Jones style of boxing, moving, counter punching off of weird angles. I think he might try and do that for the first few rounds, but I think if the going gets tough, Eubank's going to stick it on him, and I think that's where you'll see the difference in just age, really.
Yeah,
and size.
The size is going to play a major effect at that age. There's no need to be going up against fighting a big dolly like that. What about Conor Ben?
Like I say, with Conor Ben, I think the thing with Brook, even though he's a slick fighter, he's always got hit in it. Like, he gets hit quite often. I reckon he'll school Ben for many rounds, but Ben hits hard, innit? And when Ben catches him, it's curtains.
I don't even think he's schooling, man. I think pride and ego, like you said, like Brook's a fighter and he can get hit, and Ben's gonna be bang in front of you, and your pride is gonna kick in, your ego is gonna kick in. You're gonna think, no, this little young buck, like, who the fuck do you think he is, innit? Like, man's like acting brave and that. He's gonna bite down his gum sword, and it's gonna turn into a gunfight, innit? Them two, it's gonna be a straight gunfight, and then I think a younger, more explosive Ben always comes out on top of that at the moment. And back in the day, Brook 5 years ago versus Ben now would have been a very exciting fight, but I think Ben will get the better of him, but I also think it's not needed. I don't need to see that one because that's 2 different generations, isn't it?
So saying that, you didn't want to see Cartwright versus Joe Kozagi? But I reckon that one's different because Kozagi was never washed up.
And
never washed up, and the guy was never hit.
They was both world champions. Like, their career was a lot closer, I think. Was it not? I don't know. Could tell me, but I'm pretty sure Froch held, like, they was both holding world titles at the same time. Or was it just after?
I was a young kid back then. I can't remember the exact timeline, innit? But I know the fight was there, basically.
Yeah, that's a good reference. That's a perfect reference, really. But yeah, it's obviously it's what generation you're a part of, isn't it? I was part of the Brook generation. I grew up watching him. Now you can tell he's at the end of his career. It will be sad to see him getting banged out by a young up and comer. And I think Ben has the ability to do so, innit?
Well, Jordan, you didn't give your thoughts on the fight.
Sorry, say it again.
You didn't give your thoughts on Brook versus Ben.
You know what it is? It's tough. I would give it to Ben. Again, he's a younger, more explosive fighter. there's one thing about Ben you got to give to him is that he's upped his performance after the better they've got, the better he's got. I think something like that he'll be well up for, because that's his that would be his career-defining fight. I would give it to Ben because you got to go with a younger man. You literally have to go to a younger man. To me, although the everyday fan wouldn't have seen it, I personally think had that gone any longer and Khan's feet stayed under him, the way Brook was cutting off the ring, to me, his legs was gone as well.
Yeah.
Like where he was loading up. So I think had he got his second win, Khan and started being a bit more bouncy, I think he probably would have got away and started boxing the last couple of rounds. But that's the difference in age. And I think, Ben, I think I fancy my chances with Ben on that.
No, that's fair enough. You guys got...
It'll be a war. Don't get me wrong, it'll be a war. But I think my heart would say Ben would win that.
Got any closing comments on the Khan vs Brook saga?
I know both you man are betting guys, but we ain't spoke about where the money went down.
I said Brook was going to win all the way.
Did you put money down?
I haven't, you know what? I've turned a new leaf. I found my dean. I haven't. Otherwise, I would have bet on Tottenham to beat Man City. I knew it was going to happen. I just had a feeling that you lot are going to beat City.
Bro, 6 points this season.
Yeah.
But what's his name? I said he'll win. I said he'll win by knockout.
I had £20 on the 4th round, Brook to knock him out. And I just had that feeling. Like I said, I had no confidence with Khan going into this fight. He got knocked down by Billy Dib in one of his last fights. You know what I'm saying? Who's Billy Dib, bro? I knew he weren't going to be in there. I knew Brook didn't have much to see this job out. I thought 4th round. I was 6th round, obviously. I went far off. But yeah, man.
Oh, yeah. Amir Khan actually got dropped by Billy Dib, innit? And that's after Billy Dib announced his retirement from before.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You know, a lot of people make the mistake of getting caught up with all the little things in the build-up, like Brook looking weight drained, this and that. I always make that mistake of paying too much attention to all the little details, where I think the main thing you got to look at is that Donny's last 2-3 fights they've had, innit? That's the best gauge of what you're going to get or what you can expect from them in the upcoming fight.
All right, moving on to the preview. We've got Josh Taylor versus Jack Catterall for Josh Taylor's undisputed light welterweight title. It's a bit of a weird one for me because I feel like at 140, there's nothing really left for Josh Taylor to do. Unless one of the big lightweights come up and fight him at 140, there's no real name that's going to be able to fight that's really going to get anyone excited. This one here is a mandatory, so it's going to let him keep the undisputed title for a little bit longer. Jack Catterall, he's a domestic level fighter. He's fought against O'Hara Davis, Tyrone Nurse, Tyrone McKenna, people like that. Against O'Hara Davis, that was a very close neck and tuck fight where he was lucky to get the decision, especially how wide the scorecards were. They were very wide and it was a very close fight. It was a split decision with wide scorecards. So against Josh Taylor, honestly, I'm not really giving him any chance at all. I'll probably say this now, Josh Taylor gets flattened in the first round, but as of right now, I can't really see any chance for Jack Catterall to win the fight. What do you lot think?
But me personally, you can't go against the undisputed champion right now. Oh, he's almost undisputed. He is undisputed.
Yeah, he is undisputed. Yeah, proper undisputed.
Yeah. To me, you can't go against him. And to me, Josh Taylor is the best in Britain at the minute. And I can't see Jack Catterall doing it.
Yeah, I don't think when the fight got made, as soon as I heard it get announced, obviously I had the same fake mindset of you, Abs. I just thought, yeah, like levels, there's complete different levels. But obviously watching the build up, watching bits leading up to the fight, watching doing a little bit of study on this Catterall. Obviously, maybe making a mistake I just spoke about not making, getting caught up between all the little fucking things in the build up, the weight, this and that. But I think this is one of the sort of fights that Jack Catterall ain't got nothing to lose. So I can't see him winning the fight. I see it very hard for him winning the fight, especially it being up in Scotland. But I do think he's going to make it a bit of a long night for Josh Taylor. I think it's going to be an uncomfortable night's work. He ain't going to get to look great against him. Obviously, 2 southpaws. Josh Taylor's first fight back in Scotland in how long? The last 2 fights he had, he said one of them was completely behind closed doors, where and the last one against, what was his name? Was done his last, the one he unified the last belt with. That was like...
Was it Ramirez?
Ramirez, that was limited crowd. So he ain't boxed in front of a massive crowd in a long time, let alone his home stadium. All these little things could obviously play a factor. And I think Jack Carroll looks fired up. He looks hungry for this. He's an unbeaten fighter, so he's never tasted defeat. So he's going to go in there with 100% belief. He's been a mandatory in the WBO for about a year now or something. So
yeah.
You know what? For me, I think I mean the last. To be fair, he's going to be a completely different fighter from them. From the last fight, Catchell v O'Hara Davis. To me, that was two unbeaten prospects at a time. So O'Hara Davis had lost to Taylor, but virtually undefeated. And that fight, he was so cagey in it. Nothing. It was a very stalemate for 12 rounds, and I thought O'Hara Davis nicked it, but I think the occasion got to Catchell that night. Josh Taylor's been boxing at the highest level now. He's used to that pressure. I think that's going to be a big difference.
Personally, obviously you shouldn't compare like that, but Josh Taylor was miles and away levels above O'Hara Davis. Jack Cartwright wasn't. For me, it's not as simple as that, but I see Josh Taylor as a pound for pound, arguably top 5. He's up there in the world. I don't think Jack Cartwright's done anything close to show that he's at that level.
Nah, definitely. That agreed on that. And even like I said, when the fight was announced, most people will be thinking like, where's the like you said, you're expecting to see these top lightweights moving up to light water to fight Josh Taylor, or Josh Taylor moving to welterweight to fight the top weight. You expect to see Taylor's name in there with the elites now, innit? And then obviously Jack Carroll does not match up to that level in any way, shape, or form. But like I said, I do think sometimes they're the fighters that just come off. They just cause not an upset, but a bit of a surprise, and can make it a rugged and a bit of a messy fight. But yeah, no, obviously I do believe Josh Taylor gets the job done. Very late stoppage or sees out for a points victory.
Is Josh Taylor with Bob Arum in Top Rank?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
So they should. Oh, but that's weird because they have.
Who they got the lightweights?
They got Teofimo, Lomachenko.
Teofimo's been chasing the fight, but
yeah.
Taylor's been adamant he's moving up to welterweight, innit?
Yeah, I think. But even when he goes up to welterweight, Bob Arum just lost Terence Crawford. He ain't really got no one else for him there, innit? So it's gonna be very tough for him to get a big fight going forward.
If they're not on the top rank, innit?
Yeah, but hopefully he finds it, because he's someone where you know that he will fight anyone, and if the fight doesn't happen, it's definitely not on his side.
Yeah, he has that mentality. He's a warrior, innit? And you want to see him in them big fights. Hopefully the promoting thing don't make it a problem. But even if he does move out to welterweight, obviously money talks. And if there's a big fight with Tio or someone, if one of them Donnies get the belts back in the lightweight, unify the lightweight, and they want to fight him back at light water, there's nothing to say that they will never happen, innit?
Yeah, 100%. All right, last topic. We've got Lawrence Okoli is facing, let me read this quickly, Michael Sislak, defending his WBO cruiserweight title. That's on the Sunday boxing for you. Sislak is 2 inches shorter, but he has I think a 6 or 7 inch reach disadvantage against Okoli, who Okoli doesn't even really box, he fences. That's not like a disrespect or anything, but you know what I mean, he likes to keep it nice and rangy. So I've never watched Sislak, but unless he's like a Mike Tyson, peekaboo style, where he's gonna take man out, it's gonna be a long night for him. What do you guys think of the fight?
I reckon it's not going past 3 rounds.
Yeah.
3 rounds.
To be fair, Sislak lost to Ilunga Makabu, the one that Canelo wants to fight at cruiserweight, and he got outpointed by Makabu, but Makabu is not a boxer; he's a brawler. So take that how you will.
I tried to do a little research on Donny earlier on today, but I couldn't find nothing about him. I've not even seen nothing about him. I think Okoli he's something different, man. I can't see anyone. I don't know what cruiserweights are out there at the moment getting to the top. But I've not seen anyone that looks like they could cause him any problems, man. He looks too comfortable at that weight. He looks too much of a freak in the sense that he looks a whole lot bigger than all of them. Punches a whole lot fucking harder. I think.
I rate Okoli.
He's a heavyweight at cruiserweight, isn't he?
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
Yeah, he is, because he's basically a heavyweight. The size and the reach of a heavyweight is just very slim. But I think if Okoli and world champions like that, it's like once you get that belt, you have to stick to world level and keep it there. You can't go down. You can't call out. So it's like Ryan Garcia. He wants to call everyone out, but then it never happens. I'm not blaming Cody because I reckon he'll fight them, but his promoter and whoever is with, they have to make moves to actually ensure that this guy gets the fights that he needs and that the fans want to see.
Who you saying is out there? Who would you say is out there right now that the
Bradis.
fans?
Bradis is tough because he's like the best in the division, but he's got to fight Bradis.
Yeah.
Is that the WBC one?
Yeah. I think it might be unified.
That's the one trying to fight.
Wasn't that the one calling out Jake Paul? Yeah, wasn't it?
Yeah, he called out Jake Paul in that terrible video.
He got a tattoo of him, didn't
he? Yeah, he did. He did, I think.
Tattoo of him.
Brady's got a tattoo of Jake Paul.
One sec, boys. One sec.
Yeah, I think just the level of competition that Cody's got at the minute, there's nothing really there for him. I mean, the people that have got the belts, they want to fight YouTubers. So let him get this one out of the way. And I think he's probably worth just moving up to heavyweight. There's more money there. There's more names. And then he can actually finally be tested because he's pretty much just walked through the cruiserweight division.
How do you think he'll do at heavyweight?
I think he'll do all right, only because he's just got that range like Wilder, and he's gonna land that right hand. I don't think he's got the power of Wilder, but again, he's knocked out a lot of people. I think he will have to adapt because some of the bigger heavyweight guys, they're gonna come on the inside and they're gonna rough him up. Whereas the cruiserweights, they've allowed him to grab and hold and waste time, run the clock down. I don't think he'll be able to do that against some of the bigger heavyweight guys.
At cruiserweight, he knows he just rely on his range, innit? Like at the end of the day, if anything don't work, you can always take that step back and just get back on your 1-2. Obviously, in the heavyweight division, there's going to be guys physically capable of just walking through them shots. So you're going to have to work on the inside. And obviously, you're also going to find people that you ain't actually taller than or longer than. Even though there's not going to be many. It's like you see him in big pictures of heavyweights after sparring and that. He's still fucking bigger than most of them, innit?
Yeah. He spars his boy AJ a lot. I'd like to see how he'll do against Dylan White because I know they had a spar in a bit of back and forth a few years ago. So I'd like to see how that spar that as a fight would go.
And anyone physical really in the heavyweight division will make it an exciting fight against a Cody. And like you said, I think it was you, AB, just money, and heavyweight division is where the money's at. And once you're at that stage where you're capable of moving up to heavyweight and making a name for yourself, you got to take that option. Obviously, surely he's just trying to get his name and his brand as big as he can do before he does make that move. So the money's already lined up. Like, he's out here doing fucking mixtapes and albums and tracks and that. So he's doing his thing. But yeah, man, it don't look like there's going to be much test in the cruiserweight division, is it?
I said, Max, stick to boxing, leave the music, yeah?
Listen, what works, innit? Don't let me knock the hustle, cuz. Don't let me knock the hustle, man.
Oh, shit.
I mean, taking out the world scene, Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury, how do you feel he does against the likes of Joe Joyce, Daniel Dubois? Obviously, Daniel Dubois is his teammate now at McGregor's gym. Who else is there? You got Fraser, just new on the scene. He boxed yesterday.
I think
I ain't really
good
seen
scrap against those guys, but I can't see him beating people experienced like Joyce or those kind of guys.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. I ain't seen the young. I know you got Fraser. I think you said these are. I know there's like a new batch of heavyweights coming up. We know some of them. I've seen some of them been hyped to the max, and them man ain't really delivered to the hype that they've been getting. But there are some. Yeah, I ain't watched enough of them to really comment on them. But I think he doesn't beat. I think Joe Joyce is a big talent. He's a horrible fighter. He can eat anything fucking thrown at him, innit? And man just gonna be there just jabbing. You ain't gonna want to go near him, obviously. And then the others, you said the top boys, AJ, Fury, Wilder, them sort of people. You don't really need to go near them, but the level just below that. And also, if he does make that move, he's gonna have to start fitting out and making adaptations to his style. I wouldn't be surprised to see him move to a gym in America, get some training out there, adapt his sort of the way he goes about his boxing, because he will need you up against them boys, isn't it? I see a video of him. Someone took a video in the gym with him in there. I didn't know it was his gym or where he was, and like it was a panning around the gym, and I just see this big novice-looking brother shadow boxing from, and I thought like, what the fuck is this guy doing? It wasn't until the end of the video I realized it was Lawrence, bro. And if you see, no disrespect to him, because he delivers where it needs to be fucking delivered. But he still looks novice in certain parts of his training, in certain parts of his style. I think there's still a lot more to come from him, isn't it?
All right, moving on. I'm going to finish up with some fan questions, yeah? Ross Kirkwood 14 says, Khan was never there to win, was he? Turning up with the cuffing marks on him. What do you think? Because when I started watching the fight, I was questioning that as well. I was thinking he's just done cupping a few maybe weeks or maybe a month ago. I know it makes you feel good on that, but that's not something you should be doing like halfway through camp. If that makes sense, innit?
You know what? Saying that, I mean, I've seen quite a few boxers go into the ring and still got the cupping marks. So I think it just all depends what injuries he's got. So if he feels like he's got pressure, then he needs to get relieved. It's just part of it. Boxers pick up niggles along the way.
What does that actually do, that cupping stuff? I've seen better.
So basically, if you've got like, not trauma, but if you've got like an injury, it will bring out all the bad blood and it'll take it out and then put like new, once the bad blood's out, the new blood goes and replenishes it and just makes it feel better.
Yeah.
Takes out all the toxins.
Exactly, really.
So not necessarily a hindrance to a fighter then?
Nah, it doesn't make no difference. I mean, the only thing it looks bad is when you're taking photos. It looks like you've just had a giant slug sucking the life out of you.
and it shows his obviously having time to do it in the middle of a big camp shows that he had to go out of his way to put that into his schedule.
Well, you say that these guys are full-blown professionals. I mean, they're gonna be training twice a day. I mean, the rest of the day they're free, and 9 times out of 10, the masseuse or whoever it is that's doing it, they're gonna come to the gym. So I don't think
he looked in shape. Looking at his body, I don't think you can say he didn't come here to win. He looked mad in shape. I believe he was there to win. And the thing is, he's got that fighter's mentality, and that's why he was even in there to the 6th round. He had that warrior's mentality. He was trying to bite down his gumshoe and scrap, but he physically can only do what his body could let him, and he doesn't have that.
I have a lot of respect for Khan, because if I compare this fight to the Crawford fight, when he fought Crawford, to me, he looked for it out. And he got hurt a lot more yesterday than he did in that Crawford fight, in my opinion. And he didn't look for a way out. He stood there, stood his ground, took his beating. So you got to commend him.
So took his beating.
He took his beating, man. You know what it is? Some of the stuff that he was saying in the press conferences, when you start talking about people's family and stuff, boy, that's the only time I mean, I've never really listened to Khan's press conferences, but when he starts questioning a man's sexuality and saying that's why his wife left him, boy, that's all personal stuff, man. Whether it's true or not, who knows? But
is that what he said to him?
He had to hold that, man. Yeah, apparently, yeah.
There's been a lot of rumors about that over the years as well.
Violations.
What was you gonna ask, Mike?
All
right.
The Donny's name. What was the Donny's name that asked that question?
Ross Kirkwood 14.
Yeah, nah, he was fishing for hate there, man. Tell him lay off, man. Tell him, man, the respect.
Deadshot MMA says Clark fought a guy who got booked to fight on Thursday. He won't amount to shit. Did either of you watch the undercard?
No.
Yeah.
What was the Clark fight saying? Is he the heavyweight?
Yeah, the Fraser Clark, yeah.
Fraser Clark, yeah.
Did he look good?
Fraser Clark is going to be class. People watching people's debuts too much. He literally, there was nothing about him that was just like, oh, you know what, he's really novice-y, or like, it was a class performance. He done what he needed to do. Pick the guy apart, look strong, sharp jab, was defensive. Yeah, he done everything. So I don't get that one.
All right. Tayeb says, did Khan mess up taking the fight now and not 5 to 10 years ago when he could do something? I would say, even though I might sort of pick Brook back then, and he definitely messed up. I think they would have made more money and he would have been able to put a better account of himself in the fight. I feel like he's lost more of a step than Brook has at this point in his career.
Yeah. You know what? I think is, I don't know how truthful this is in terms of the whole science of the human brain, but I think once you've had a heavy knockout, I think you're just more susceptible to get knocked out. Yeah. So had this fight happen the first time before he ever got that surprise defeat, it might have been a completely different story. But it's the what ifs in boxing, isn't it? You'll never know.
The saying "cut your nose to spite your face" for me sums up this fight, man, because he wanted to, like, he went on like, he don't need the Brook fight. Brook, you need the fight more than I do. So you didn't give it to him back then. And if that's the case, then you should have never gave it to him, because to come back and give him the fight now, whether it's because you wanted money or whether it's because you want to be back in the limelight. Nah, at the end of the day, your career is going out on the end of that loss, innit? Brook's got that over you for the rest of his life. And you got to live with that for the rest of your life. So yeah, in hindsight, maybe you should have took that fight when it would have been peak versus peak. He would have had a better opportunity. Obviously, don't know about the money that was being offered, but he would have definitely had a much better opportunity at winning the fight, innit?
All right, MK1 Jake asked a good question. How great could Brook have been if he didn't fight GGG? Whenever I talk about Brook's career, I always talk about how he refused to fight Jesse Vargas because Jesse Vargas was going to make more money. If he would have fought Jesse Vargas and been the unified welterweight champion, which in this generation has only been, well, at that time, there had only been Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather that were unified welterweight champions. And he would have put himself in that bracket. So I think if he'd have done that then, before Furman unified, and Furman sort of not run the division, but he was the guy to beat, would have been Kell Brook instead as being the guy to beat at the welterweight division. With all those guys who were there back then, it would have been good for his legacy.
Yeah, and 100%. I think that Triple G, although he would have made the money off of it, it shot his career because I had him winning the Spence fight. And for his other eye to go, like it's just like, what are the chances? I think had that Brook fight, the Triple G fight never had happened, again, it's what ifs. I think he personally would have won, and he would have been the man at welterweight. But so it's risk reward sport, innit?
Yeah.
Like you said, the Vargas fight, that's the bitter one because when the fighter is in that position, sometimes you need your advisors around you to tell you, listen, it might not be the money you want to get, but this is the fight that catapults you into that level that allows you to demand that money and allows you then to take the fights on your terms. But because you didn't fight that fight, look, you end up fighting the GGG because you wanted the big money. You end up fighting the monsters that you end up fighting with everything against your favor, innit? You're going up out of your natural weight class. So it was a bad decision from him, in my point of view, for making that fight. So obviously, how good could he have been we'll never know because of the decisions that Brook made at the end of the day, innit?
Definitely was a turning point in his career.
3L.mono3, he asks, Brook versus Ben. Since we've already spoke about it, let's just give final predictions. I've got Conor Ben KO 9 rounds.
7 rounds.
I'll say 9.
So no one giving Brook a chance.
Don't get me wrong. Of course, he has a chance. He's always going to have a puncher's chance. I think Ben's not going to be allowed. So it is one of them because it will be the best fight of Ben's career. It's just all with how he adapts on the night because Ben can get caught. We've seen it. We've seen it against Paynard. Brook's obviously a much bigger puncher than Paynard, so we'll just have to see. I'm gonna give it to Brook.
You give it to Brook or Ben?
I'll say Ben.
Yeah, Ben loves a war, innit? And even though that was his downfall in his early days, and that's what earned him a lot of critics because he was getting dropped by people that he was meant to be cleaning up. He learned a lot from them, and he also showed that he don't mind having these scraps. He's a fiery character, innit? Like you see in every interview he does, every fucking training session, the man's fired up at all times. And obviously it's gonna end up a scrap or a trade-off at one point in the fight with Brook, and obviously having just a much fresher engine on him.
Yeah, I think even just taking away engine, I think there's one thing that people don't account for is the heart. Literally, Ben will dog it out, just like what his dad done. Literally all the way. And Brook hasn't got that same thing to lose. Like Ben's young, hungry.
That mentality is a major difference in boxing. It's even like, look, Klitschko AJ is a comparison, man. When Klitschko dropped AJ in the 5th or 6th, and everyone knows 10 years ago the reaction would have been completely different. But when you're obviously at the start, the very end of your career, these stages of your career, man, is that hunger there the same to really go through fire to fucking get your win.
All right. AB Rafor asks, do you think Khan at his best could beat Brook at his best? Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, you lot, we've been running over. I just need yes or no answers from now on. Yeah, could Khan at his best beat Brook at his best?
Amir Khan beat Brook. Yeah, how's that? 12 rounds all day long. Dance his name, don't get touched.
Yeah.
It's one of them fights that you can rewind 10 times and get a different answer. 7-6. Literally, it's like 50-50 all the way.
I agree with that. But I do I beg these man, go watch Khan. Like, if you ain't really watched them early days of Khan against the Devin Alexanders, the Zab Judas, pulling them out of the Najis when Khan was really peaking. Go watch it again, man. I know that these fighters were tipped to be elite fighters at the time, you know. And Khan went in there with all of them, and he had his way comfortably, innit? But like Jordan, I agree with Jordan. The fight, it could be a different outcome. It could be one of them, and it will never know.
Mike, I appreciate your insight, but that was a very long yes or no answer.
Yeah, man.
We'll name account.
You get your money's worth, innit?
I heard that. We'll name account later, and Jamie Murphy, Boxing Boss, asked, is it time for both of them to hang up the gloves?
Yes.
Yeah.
Khan definitely. Brook, it depends what's left inside his heart. If he wants the box, I won't like look at him any differently, but he would have to know. I wouldn't want to see him. I'd rather see him test some of these up and comers, be one of them like gatekeepers for like the British European level, rather than trying to get in there.
That's how you start ruining legacy, man. Like next thing you know, it's like Mike Tyson fighting YouTubers. No, you can't be doing that. I agree.
But I also know these fighters, sometimes they ain't gonna call it a day. It's within, they don't know nothing else in it. They're fighters, that's all they got, that's all they know.
But you know what it is? When the fans keep asking for it, that's when they feel like, yeah, you know what, I've still got it. But if all fans say, you know what, hang it up, it's easier for them to walk away.
Another great yes or no quick answer from Mike. I'm not sure if I mentioned his name, but I'm not sure if I mentioned his name, but Ibirafor was the one who asked, do you think Khan at his best could beat Brook at his best? I've been training Ibrahim for a little while now. He's coming on leaps and bounds from someone from such a novice to where he's at now. Should have him fighting out soon, so watch out for that. Deathshot MMA asks again, Kell Brook only lost to GGG Spence Crawford. Could he have beat Eubank Ben, domestic level talent? Eubank, I'm going to put that to the side because he's so much bigger. But someone like Conor Ben, if Brook wasn't so damaged, I'll say, yeah, he could beat him.
I agree.
How tall is Eubank? Is he 5'11"?
I think about 6'4".
6'4".
Brook's not very tall for a welterweight, is he?
No,
he's not 5'9", 5'9", 5'8".
5'8".
Yeah.
Depending on
the
fuck.
Eubank's 5'11". Right. Last question. Big Chief C85 says, how would Brook do at 154? And I don't think he'll do very well at all, I'm not gonna lie.
Nah, I think had he been younger, 100%. I think right now he's a little too far gone now.
Yeah. Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, same. You ain't getting no more than one word from me. That's it.
It's feelings, guys. Sorry, Mike. Same
like you said though, years ago, different story, innit? It's nice at the end of your career, so it'd be hard to make that change that.
No, I heard that. I always thought he was like I said before, he's a bigger guy, so him losing that advantage is gonna hurt him too much. So yeah, thank you, Mike. Thank you, Jordan. Sorry for hurting your feelings, Mike.
All right.
Good episode though, boys. Yeah. Thank you for being there. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. See you guys next time.